Gabrielle Union and Keith Powers star in the new romantic comedy currently streaming on Netflix called The Perfect Find. Now, this is an adaptation of a romance novel I did not read, and honestly, I didn't like this title. This title is very lifetimey. Didn't like the title. But is this film any good? First off, full disclosure, I've said this 11 times. If you've seen any of the reviews I've done on rom-coms, we need an overhaul. We need to see rom-coms differently. This feels like the old styling of rom-coms. So I didn't love it, but I don't hate it. There's some issues with it, and there is another movie in here that I would have preferred to see. So this was directed by Numa Perrier, who did a lot of TV directing. She's also a writer and an actress, but she has directed an episode of Queen Sugar. She's directed a couple of episodes of Young Rock. She's done Reasonable Doubt. I loved what she did with Unprisoned. She did a couple of episodes of Unprisoned, I believe, but she also directed the 2019 film Jezebel. I like her directing style. And there was a movie in here that I would have preferred to see. And I'll get into that. This film also stars Gina Torres and Janet Hubert. I wish there were more for them to do. Janet Hubert, as you'll remember, is our favorite Aunt Viv. That's just the truth. And Gina Torres, she was in Suits. Gina Torres steals every scene she's in for me in this movie. And Janet Hubert was only really in one scene, which is very unfortunate, because I would have loved to see them two in a scene together at least. So that was disappointing that we didn't get enough of her. Everyone's bestie, Lala Anthony, in this film, and Aisha Hines. There wasn't much for them to do either. Now, I know they're not central characters. They are supporting characters, but there was a better movie somewhere in this film. T.S. Madison also makes a cameo with her pet peacock, Taraji P. Henson. So Gabrielle Union and Keith Powers are romantic and love interests in this film. And they didn't have the strongest chemistry. Now, it wasn't absent of sparks, but it wasn't like strong magnetic chemistry, which is odd. You would think. Now, really, I thought she looked better with D.B. Woodside, who is her ex-boyfriend in this film. So what is this story about? Gabrielle Union was in a 10-year relationship with D.B. Woodside's character. Okay, so she was in a 10-year relationship, messy breakup, and he got the better end of the breakup. He looks better in it than she does. So she's fallen on hard times. She's moved back home with her mom, and Janet Hubert plays her mom. And, her mom tells her, you've got to go. Get back on your feet, basically. She sends her back to New York City, where she meaning Gabrielle Union's character, an apartment in Brooklyn. And she goes humbly to Gina Torres. Gina Torres is this fashion magnate who has this magazine called Darzine. She plays Darcy. And she and Gabrielle Union have been, long ago, have been pitted against each other for jobs and so forth. But eventually they built their own separate careers. And Gina Torres has like this Vogue type empire that has taken a hit. And so Gabrielle Union goes to interview her. I love the scene that they have together. Each scene they have together is a better arc than the rest of it. But like I said, Gina Torres steals this movie really, and I wish it was centered more around her character than it is. But she pleads really for a job at Gina Torres or Darcy's magazine. And Darcy gives her 90 days to turn it around. Well, she goes out to celebrate with her good girlfriends, played by Aisha Hines and Lala Anthony. She goes out to hang out with them, and turns out she meets Keith Powers' character there. The next day, they have a little spark, but she ends it there because he is young. Now, we don't know his age. We just know that he had just finished his master's, and so he's mid-20s. Gabrielle Union plays Jenna Jones, and Keith Powers plays Eric, and Gina Torres plays Darcy. So Darcy, the next day at work, is introduced to her boss's son, who happens to be Eric, the young, hot man she was making out with at the party. It's exhausting how dated that storyline is, and so they have tit for tat for, they try to distance themselves from each other, knowing that this is a mistake. And as you can imagine, they end up together eventually and try to hide this best they can from her boss. He works for his mother. He is Gabrielle Union's cinematographer. Listen, this was an adaptation, so I assume that a lot of this is in the book. It just doesn't work. I wish they would have taken more liberties. Maybe they did. I think it looks good. I think the set design is beautiful. It's over the top and avant-garde, but I think it looks good. Much of the fashion is really good. I have this Chanel belt. I have this in chocolate. I have this Chanel belt. I think the clothes, especially that Darcy wore, I think they looked really good. Those were some good pulls. Some of the things that Gabrielle Union's wearing, I liked. I liked a lot of the fashion. I liked the storyline about old Hollywood glamour, the black old Hollywood glamour, and how it would be fantastic to own those archival pieces, even at an affordable price, to reproduce those pieces at an affordable price. Brilliant. I love that arc. But the connection between Darcy and Eric, or Gabrielle Union and Keith Powers, it just doesn't work. So eventually they have to break up because Darcy finds out, his mom finds out, her boss finds out, and fires her and throws her out of her penthouse and, shames her really for sleeping with her son and for hiding it. Because they've had, issues in the past, and so this just adds to it, and it just seems like Jenna is a problematic person, and she is really. And several weeks pass. Okay, so she can't see him anymore, and several weeks pass. She turns up pregnant. I would have preferred if they started there. We didn't have to see them go through this boring storyline. I would have preferred that we learned she was pregnant and this unfolded. I know that's been told before too, but I would have preferred that they worked out what it would be like, what life would be like with her having, a child in her 40s, with a very young man, her ex-boss. And I would have wanted to see the dynamic between her mom and his mom, because they had better storylines to me. Her parents and his mom. And I would have liked to see that, I preferred to see that, what that could look like, co-parenting and familying with the dynamic that they have. I would have rather seen how they could build a relationship or build a co-parenting relationship that could have been romantic out of that, instead of seeing them go through this very awkward relationship with, or seeing Gabrielle Union's character build an awkward relationship with not only with someone that she works with, but also with him being the son of her boss. I would have preferred to see that instead of what we have here, because their chemistry is awkward. A lot of it is dated. It's been done before in the 90s in movies with a bigger budget. I think the set design looks good again, and the wardrobe looked good to me, and the music. They licensed some really good music in here. You've got Nat King Cole, Bruno Mars, DeBarge. Like, there's some good music in this film. Really good music. But the music, though it is good, it doesn't elevate the movie in any way. It's just good music. And I think a soundtrack should help move the story, help build or elevate the film. And this, I think they wasted good music. At any rate, is it worth seeing? It's on Netflix. It's accessible. We all want to support Black films and Black filmmakers. Yes, I recommend seeing it. But lower your expectations. If you're looking for something new or original, that's not this. If you love the characters, Keith Powers, Gina Torres, Gabrielle Union, Lala Anthony, Aisha Hines, and so forth, T.S. Madison, if you love the characters, if you love these stars, sure, you definitely want to support. But again, lower your expectations and throw it on. Why not? It's on Netflix. It's available. Why not? At any rate, The Perfect Find is streaming on Netflix now.